When it comes to AMD GPUs, Sapphire is regarded as the best AIB, followed by PowerColor. In this video I'm gonna compare the flagship from the two previously mentioned GPU vendors, the PowerColor Red Devil 9070 XT and the Sapphire Nitro Plus 9070 XT, and see which one is better. I'm gonna check thermals, noise, talk about performance differences, if any, and share my thoughts about which one I think is better. The Sapphire Nitro Plus 9070 XT comes with a unique design that is not really to my liking. I'm not a big fan of the grille on the side. This GPU comes also with the new power connector, the same one that can be found on NVIDIA GPUs. Some may not like it or fear it due to melting issues, but this should not be an issue at the power requirements of the 9070 XT. Sapphire decided to put the connector in the GPU shroud. This model has a unique way of hiding the connector, as it can become hidden when using the optional backplate that comes in the box. In case you have a power supply that doesn't come with the new power connector, you can use the adapter provided in the box. The color theme is more or less the same as on the previous generation, an industrial look grey color. The GPU has two HDMI 2.1 ports and two DisplayPort 2.0 as video output. The good thing about this power connection is that it hides the power cables by routing them on the back on the PCIe connection side, as you can see now when installed. I kinda like the look of the GPU, while the RGB is okay. Later on we will see if this choice of removing some part of the GPU backplate to make way for the connection is inferior to Red Devil's cooling. In my humble opinion, the Red Devil looks better. It has a sleek black color theme, a unique RGB pattern on the back and on the tail end. It uses the old power connectors, 3 of them. In my opinion, this is a bit safer, although you should not worry too much at these power levels. This GPU comes with 3 DisplayPort 2.0 and 1 HDMI 2.1 port as display output. Now, when installed normally and viewed from above, in my opinion, this one looks way better than the Sapphire model. But I think look should be considered when the GPUs perform the same, have similar noise levels and thermals, and the price difference is minimal. When it comes to size, the Red Devil is a bit bigger overall in length and width, but the differences are minor between the two. First, let's start with noise. I'm using my phone to measure the noise output, as I don't have another tool to take measurements. At 38% fan speed, the Red Devil hovers around 35 decibels, while the Nitro Plus at 36. You will not be able to tell them apart at these fan speeds. When I increase the fan speed to 45%, both GPUs produce more or less the same noise, around 39 decibels. Nothing changes when we move to 55%, in the sense that both GPUs are around 45 decibels, thus producing more or less the same noise. To be honest, I couldn't tell them apart when it comes to noise. Let's now move to thermals. Before I show you the thermals reading obtained in the 4-mark GPU test, I want to mention that my Red Devil was bought somewhere around the initial launch date, so it comes with Hynix memories, while the Sapphire model is equipped with Samsung memories. After running the stress test for more than 10 minutes on both GPUs, with an ambient temperature of around 27 degrees Celsius, the Red Devil GPU core temperature stood at around 61 degrees, with the hotspot around 84, while the memory reached 90 degrees. In comparison, the Nitro Plus with its Samsung memories reached 85 degrees, but the GPU core was hovering around 65 degrees, with the hotspot at 85. Both GPU fans were spinning at a bit below 1300 RPM. So, it seems that the cooler on the Red Devil is better, right? I decided to use a custom fan curve and apply it to both GPUs and see if things change. The core and the hotspot have dropped significantly on the Nitro Plus to 54 and 74, while the memory stood at 72 degrees Celsius. On the Red Devil we see more or less the same core and hotspot temperature, but the memory sits at 82 degrees, 10 degrees more than on the Nitro Plus. I believe that if you buy now a PowerColor Red Devil 9070 XT, chances are that you will get it with Samsung memories, and the memory terminals will drop to the ones seen on the Nitro Plus. Let's have a look while gaming to see which one is delivering better thermals. Using Clear Obscure at 4K, the Red Devil model reaches 60 degrees on the core and 84 on the hotspot, while the memory jumps to 86 degrees. On the Nitro Plus, the core sits at 63 degrees with the hotspot at 83 and the memory at around 79-80 degrees. It seems that the Red Devil is a bit better when it comes to cooling with the default fan curve. The fans spin less while producing better thermals. Don't mind the memory temperatures, again that is because we have Hynix on the PowerColor model and Samsung on the Sapphire model. I overclocked the memory and the core, undervolted by 45 mV, increased the power limit by 10% and made sure to set the same fan curve on both GPUs. This is how it looks thermal wise. The GPU core on the Red Devil is cool at 54 degrees with the hotspot reaching 84 degrees while the memory stood at around 82 degrees. On the Nitro Plus, the core temperature was a bit higher, hovering around 56 degrees, while the hotspot and the memory temperature were lower, 79 and 72. It seems that the Nitro Plus has the edge, but I'm not sure how the Red Devil would do when paired with Samsung memories. And now the boring part, performance. Keep in mind that both GPUs have the same power limit. Both GPU models have a higher ceiling power than the 304 watt base models. But stay with me as there are a few surprising results. First, let's start with one of the RT games tested for this comparison, Doom: The Dark Ages. At 1440p, both GPUs perform the same, delivering similar averages, but technically the Red Devil model was ahead. At 4K though, technically the Nitro Plus is ahead, but I can't call it a victory. Both GPUs perform the same in this game at both resolutions. Let's have a look at the other ray tracing game tested, Ratchet & Clank. I skipped raster for this game and at 1440p we can see that the Red Devil model edges out the Nitro Plus, but the differences are small. At 4K the Red Devil was a bit better in the 1% low category, delivering 25% better results. I'm not sure what happened here, something has happened with the VRAM utilization when running the game with the Sapphire model. Let's move now to Total War Warhammer 3. At 1440p, the PowerColor Red Devil wins in the 1% low category while delivering the same averages as the Sapphire model. The same can be seen at 4K, better 1% low values for the PowerColor model. Let's change pace with a competitive game, Counter-Strike 2. I tested only at 1440p and using the same settings, for some reason the Sapphire Nitro Plus model was marginally better. Keep in mind that the averages that you see on the screen are obtained from 3 consecutive runs. The Sapphire model delivers 5% better 1% low values as well. I tested another game with competitive settings, Marvel Rivals, and in this game, at 1440p, the Sapphire model was tied with the PowerColor model when it comes to averages, but it was ahead again in the 1% low compartment, delivering around 5% better values. In Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 at 1440p, using these settings, the Red Devil model was a bit ahead in averages and 1% low values, while at 4K you couldn't tell them apart. Let's now drag this more and have a look at the charts. This is the 1440p chart, and there is a trend. The Sapphire model performs a bit better in competitive games, with more obvious wins in the 1% low category. I'm not sure why is this the case though. In all other games the differences are small and there is no clear winner. And because of the better 1% low values in those two competitive games, overall the Sapphire has a small lead when it comes to the 1% low values averaged across all games tested. When it comes to the averages, you couldn't tell them apart though. At 4K there are minimal performance differences between the two 9070 XT models. Only when looking at Ratchet & Clank we see a minor performance difference. In all other games I would say that it's a tie, and because of Ratchet & Clank the 1% low averaged across all games tested are a bit better on the Red Devil unit. And technically the Red Devil is ahead as well in the averages compartment, but in reality these two models are tied. When it comes to performance differences, keep in mind that you would see minor performance swings even when pitting two GPUs from the same vendor and model, like for example two Nitro Plus units. What I observed is that during overclocking I was able to set a higher memory speed on the Samsung equipped unit as opposed to the Hynix one. I wouldn't worry too much, as now most units out there are with Samsung memories and it seems that there is no performance difference, only lower temperatures. I would say that now is better to get a 9070 XT than it was at launch. So which model I would choose? To be honest, if the price is similar, I would go with the Red Devil model. It has the same power ceiling as the Sapphire Nitro Plus 9070 XT, but in my opinion, it looks a bit better, seems to perform a bit better when it comes to cooling, and has the safer power connectors. I will not say that the Nitro Plus is bad. It is actually really good. I just think it's a bit behind the Red Devil model. Keep in mind that by now, most likely, most 9070 XT models out there come with Samsung memories. This means that you should see on the Red Devil similar memory thermals as on the Nitro Plus. One thing to point out is that I would not choose the Red Devil over the Nitro Plus if there is a price difference. I would go with the cheapest of the two. There are other models from different vendors like XFX and ASRock, both good options, but maybe only XFX can compete with Sapphire and PowerColor when it comes to AMD GPU partners. And that's it for this video. If you liked the video or found it useful, hit the thumbs up button, drop a comment below and let me know in the comment section which 9070 XT model would you choose. Take care and hope to see you all in the next one.